In this lecture, we will see how date and time work on Excel. If I write 1st January 1900 and I convert the data type into a number, you notice that this changes to the number 1. If I write today's date, so 12th of June 2020, and I convert this into a number, it gives us 43994. So I hope this makes sense. This means that Excel considers every date to be a unique number starting at 1, and then every date in the future is calculated as a plus 1. What that means is that if I had written 1st January 1901 and I convert this into a number, this will become 367. Why? Because 1st January 1900 is 1, so 1st January of 1901 will become 367. This is how Excel understands different dates. For example, if I write some random dates between so let me convert everything to a date. So as you can see, we have some random dates between 2011 and 2020. But the moment I say that all of these have to be converted into numbers, we'll just copy and paste this. See what happens. All of these are represented as numbers. Now I hope you see why Excel permits us to find the difference between two dates. For example, if I write 1st of January 2020 and I write the 8th of January 2020, and if I say 8th minus 1st, you notice it gives us 7. Now the reason the 7 is coming as a number is because 8th of January 2020 is not a date according to Excel. It's simply a number which is 43838, and the 1st of January is also a number which is 43831, like this. And you would notice, let me convert this into a number first. You notice that the difference between these two numbers would obviously be 7. Excellent. So we're getting somewhere. Now we know that dates start on 1st of January 1900. So this is where all dates start. All right. How does time work? Now time is a cycle. That means that it starts at 0 and it ends at 1. For example, if I've written 12 p.m. and I convert this into a number, it becomes 0.5. So let me do that once again. So we have 12 a.m., we have 12, in fact, 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., and then 9 p.m. And then finally we have, in fact, that should be enough. So let me make all of these as the time value. We can copy and paste this, and in the next one, I will convert these into numbers. So if you notice, 12 a.m., which is midnight, is 0. The middle of the day, which is 12 noon, is 0.5. And if you look at 9 p.m., it would obviously be 0.875, like this. Makes sense, right? So this means that the day starts at 0. And if I look at the last second of a day, which is 23:59:59, so that would be 11:59 p.m. and 59 seconds. And if I copy this and we keep a number format, you notice it becomes 1. What does it mean? This means that dates are represented. Okay. This means that dates are represented starting at 0, which is 12 a.m., to 1, which is 11:59 p.m. and 59 seconds. Why is a date or a unique number and why is time a cycle? Obviously, because a time value is like a clock, which means that it starts and ends and then starts once again. Let's see how we can combine both these things. So I'll just say that time starts at 0 and ends at 1. So I'm writing 0.5 here, which all of you now know refers to 12 p.m. Now imagine you have a date and a time together. So we are writing not a date, not neither a time, we're writing a date and time together. So if I write a date and time together like this, which is 12th of June 2020 and 1:59 p.m., and I copy and paste this, just see carefully what will happen. If I convert this into a number, it will become 43994.58. Let's see how this is working. Now the number on the left of the decimal and the number on the right of the decimal are representing the date and the time value. So this 43994 is referring to the date and this 0.58 is referring to the time. So what will happen, the moment this 0.58 becomes 1, then obviously this last digit will become 5. That means that the 12th of June will become the 13th of June. Let's see how that works. So if I come back here and I change it to, let's say, 23:59, you notice it becomes, if we convert this into a number, it becomes 43995.00. If you increase the number of decimals, you would notice that it's not actually 00, it's a number slightly lesser than that. But the moment it touches midnight, which would be the 13th of June and exactly midnight, you notice it becomes 43995, right? So this is how you work with dates, this is how you work with time, and this is how you work with date and time values. Of course, we'll do all of these topics in much more detail later, but this was just your first glimpse to understand very broadly how date and time works. Before we go to the next lecture, a quick look at shortcuts. So we can either write a shortcut or we can use a function. So the shortcut to create a date is control plus semicolon. So if you notice, control plus semicolon gives us the date. And if I write control shift semicolon, control plus shift plus semicolon, then it gives me the time. Similarly, to get the current date, you will write equal to today. I just write the formula text here so that you can see the formula that I've written. In fact, let me just move them around so we can put the date here and we can write the formula text here. And to get the current time, you will have to write equal to now. Okay, now just see, when you write equal to now, you get both the date and the time value. So we can write now minus today, and that gives you only the time value. So when I say equal to formula text, you notice you get only the time. But then why is this date coming as well? The reason is because the format of the cell has to be a time. So you have to make sure to click on format and then select a time value, and this way you can get a dynamic time. Now, I hope all of you are able to follow this. The difference between a shortcut and a function is very, very important. A shortcut, remember, everybody is static. This means that this date and this time value will not keep on changing every time. But a function is dynamic. What this means is that if I open the file tomorrow, this will become the 13th of June. And similarly, you notice every time I make a change to any cell, do you see how the seconds keep on changing every single time? Because we have used a function, it is a dynamic result that you're getting. Now, obviously, both of these have their own advantages. You would want to use static in a formula where you want to refer to a specific date stamp or a timestamp. And you want to make it dynamic when you are presenting a report where you always want the current date and the current time to be shown to the user. In the next lecture, we will see how we can work with custom formats and also use the text function.